Versus Edinboro's doubleheader. My name is Andrew White. Alongside me is Nathan Kurtz. Nathan, how are you feeling about this game?
Not good now. You government named me. I usually go by Nate, but back this game, I am feeling good. The Vulcans broke a 21-game loss streak against the IUP Crimson Hawks. That's the team as third in the West. Very impressive win for them against one of their division rivals out here in the West. This Edinboro team is one that I mentioned on that call to look out for as they're in the hunt for that 6th seed going into the PSEC playoffs. I know we still got a little bit of a ways to go, but it's nice to sort of solidify yourself early on rather than wait towards that final few-game stretch going into the playoffs.
A tale of two takes here as California comes into the game riding a 4-game winning streak and Edinboro coming into the game riding a 3-game losing streak. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams kind of match up with each other tonight. And California really just trying to not fall victim to a trap game after coming off a huge win on Monday.
And I know definitely going into this game too, I think Coach Jenkins is going to want to emphasize the offensive side of the ball. It's something they struggled with early on in that first half of the IEP game. I know both teams actually did. If I remember correctly, off the top of my head without looking this up, it was 5 for 27 for Cal, and I believe it was 5 for 30 for IUP heading in to the second. Both teams, though, very impressive second half, improving that for a good final line. And I think in practice, I think Coach Jenkins definitely wanted to work with those guys and make sure the ball was getting spread out evenly, and they were working down in the paint, getting some shots up too.
Got a chance to kind of meet with a couple players yesterday during practice, and each and every one of them credited Coach Sankum into properly preparing them and just following the game plan against IUP, and it led them to the victory, and now they hold sole possession of the top spot in the PSAC following the fact that they did defeat Gannon earlier this season.
And that was a heck of a game too. I know that was me and John on the call here, and it was a bit tight of a contest at first, but eventually Cal just started to run away with it. They just eventually broke Gannon's trap game, and after that, it was really just nothing. It was a pretty easy and solid win for them afterwards. With Joshua Magaffo, the only one really able to do anything about it. And those Gannon Golden Knights now up to 9th in the country, with your Vulcans now moving up to 14th. A little bit of a slid there, a few games back, and I think we're heading into a nice little final stretch here of this PSAC West playoff action.
It's going to be an exciting matchup this upcoming Saturday as the Vulcans will travel to Gannon to take on the Golden Knights, and that'll be a battle of the Titans, shall we say.
And I would like to think that we're not going to be up there because I'm going to be honest, I don't want to sit in that car for 3.5 hours to go up to Erie. But either way, I hope you do tune in the PSAC digital network as we have our starting lineups going on here for the Edinboro Fighting Scots. It's their usual 5. You're going to see number 12, Bernie Blunt, the junior out of Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Number 3, Dante Wilcott, 6'1 junior out of Erie, Pennsylvania. Number 13, Matty Orsay, that is the 7-foot junior out of Senegal. Number 0, Jack Gallagher, the 6'2 senior out of Erie, Pennsylvania. And number 7, Ryan Ladovich, the 6'5 junior out of Sharpsville, Pennsylvania.
And for the Vulcans on their side, we have number 0, Jermaine Hall Jr., the senior. Number 2, Bryson Lucas. Number 3, Zion Collins, the other senior on this team. Number 5, KJ McClurg, the leading scorer in all of the PSAC currently. And number 15, DJ Slaughter.
And I think now watching these starting lineups go up, I think there's one matchup that I'm so excited here for tonight. It's the KJ McClurg, the Bernie Blunt matchup. I know we were talking about this before it started. Bernie Blunt right behind KJ McClurg in the PSAC scoring race right now. KJ McClurg leading now at 22.6. Bernie Blunt at 20.2. Both have been great offensive scorers, been able to maneuver the ball so well. And one thing about Blunt is his free throw ability. I know something we look at KJ a lot is how well he gets to line, but Blunt far more efficient, 90% from the charity stripe, 112 out of 124. You look at KJ, he's more of just an all-around scorer who's able to get everything done on the court.
Talking to KJ yesterday, he kind of talked about how he was never really too worried about the accolades and how just the skill and talent of his teammates allows him to kind of open up the floor and do what he does. And it's going to be interesting. Like you said, that matchup between him and Blunt, the number 1 and 2 scorers in the PSAC, it's going to be definitely an exciting matchup between those two and between these two squads in general.
And I'm not really surprised either. KJ McClurg seems like just such a head-down type of player. I know as the official vice president of the McClurg fan club, I can tell you for a fact this man puts in the work and puts so much hours into his craft, which makes him such a good basketball player.
Matty Orsay with the win on the tip there, and we're getting started with Edinboro in possession. Blunt with the pass to Say with the mid-range jumper, and he connects early on.
And that's just a clean mid-range jumper to take. Something I always say here on the cast is just to take the easy points, and when you get such a nice shot lined up in the middle of the paint, why not take it?
Hall with the ball on the wing. Pass over to Slaughter, and he's going to rotate it to McClurg. McClurg to Zion. Zion at the top of the key gives it back to Slaughter. Slaughter on the drive, out to Bryson Lucas. Pump fakes the three, kicks it out to McClurg. Less than 10 on the shot clock. McClurg kicks it over. Back to McClurg. McClurg is going to take a three on the first possession, and he hits.
And that's just such a clean ball from McClurg. That's definitely his shot, too. We were seeing here pregame every single time he's at the combo. And actually, really, no matter wherever he goes, he's always pregame off by himself, just taking that three-point shot, honing his craft. That's why he's a 45% three-point shooter on the season.
So efficient from both inside the arc and outside the arc as McClurg gets the Vulcans going early. It's Gallagher with it on the wing. The pass over to Blunt. Blunt with the pump fakes the mid-range jumper, and he connects as well on the deep two.
And that's just a clean shot from Blunt, too. Just shakes the man and takes the shot. Beautiful play.
Zion getting the Vulcans going down the floor early as he's going to take a mid-range jumper in and out. And the rebound goes to Ryan Ledovich. Bernie Blunt with the handoff. Drive there, out to Ledovich. Ledovich pump fakes the three, takes the mid-range jumper off the board. No good, and two fighting Scots fight for the rebound. Gets it out to Blunt. The deep three off the rim and no good. And the Vulcans really going to have to focus on rebounding with Say's big body down there as he is a 7 foot. Not something you see very often in Division II, the turnover there by the Vulcans.
And something I've talked to our producer, Gary Smith, about is that usually when you see that sort of size at this level, usually means that the players can't play at a very good skill level, and that's why they're down here. But I don't really know if you could say that on outside. The 7-foot junior has done pretty solid for himself in the defensive department. And on the offensive side of the ball, scoring 8 points per game and 5 rebounds as well.
The season high 18 points and 9 rebounds in their last game against Seton Hill. As right there, 3-point bucket. And they are off to a 7-3 early lead. That's the bucket there by Blunt. Slaughter with the pass over to Hall. Hall loses it. The dive on the floor, but he still comes up with it. Pass over to Collins. Collins going to drive in the middle. Goes up, and he's going to get fouled, and he'll head to the line.
And that's something for the Vulcans really want to take advantage of, is just taking those foul calls. I know that's something that KJ does so well, but I think it's something that the entire team does as a team, and I think that's something that Coach Sankum definitely has to emphasize on, is just how well his guys go in the paint and take those fouls.
A foul there will go against Jack Gallagher, his first of the game, and the first of the game for either team. Zion's for a first free throw off the front rim and in. This team does such a good job of being able to create contact, get to the line, and score points at will as their points per game continue to climb up as the season continues.
Yeah, and they had a bit of a drop. I want to say that was a little bit after the Wheeling game in early December, but since then they've really just stepped it back up, and they put themselves back in the offensive department.
Gallagher with it on the wing. He gets the screen from Say. He's going to take it and go back the other way. Gets it to Ledovich. Back over to Bernie Blunt. Blunt going to take a long two once again. No good. Ledovich with the rebound. Pass out to Gallagher. Gallagher on the drive. The punt fake. The pivot foot. Puts it up off the front rim. No good. Rebound by Say. Say puts it back up and in. And that's what I'm talking about. They're going to need to worry about boxing him out for the most part.
Yeah, it's the ball movement of Edinboro that I'm noticing early on. It's just how clean it is and how they're able to create so much space.
Zion with the deep three, no good, and the rebound by Say once again as he's up to about 3 or 4 rebounds here early on. Blunt with it, gives it to Say at the top of the wing. Over to Ledovich. Back to Blunt. Blunt drive in the middle, nobody down there. He puts it up with the left hand, no good. A little bit too much English as KJ McClure gets it up to Slaughter, who finishes the fast break, 4-2.
And DJ Slaughter, he's so good at just creating those quality shots. I know it's something that he doesn't do very often, more or less tries to be the steady-handed point guard of this team, but when he does take those shots, he's very efficient with them.
Blunt with it on the wing, guarded by Collins. The drive, puts it up with the right hand, and Collins with the rejection. What a defensive play there by the senior.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful by Collins. That's something that this defense needs too. It's something that they lacked a lot of last year, and it's what really, really made them struggle against those teams like IUP and like Slip and Mercyhurst, who were a lot stronger last year.
Passing here from Ludovich over to Blunt. He's going to get the screen from Say. Bryson Lucas now on him. Pass over to Wilcott. Wilcott with the pump fake, the drive to the left side, and the finish with the right hand.
Coach Sankum also not happy about that one, immediately pointing at Antoine Arnett.
KJ McClure doing what he does best, finishing in transition, readjusting his body, and getting his first 2 points on the board.
Yeah, 5 points as well already. I know it's something that's not really surprising to see out here. It's just how well he is at scoring, and I know it's beating a dead horse, but it's something you can't ignore.
Passing to Say gets kind of mishandled, but goes back to Wilcott. Wilcott takes it up with the right hand, no good. And DJ Slaughter comes down with the rebound. The push up the floor to KJ McClurg, and once again he'll finish in transition as he got ahead of the defense.
Yeah, and that's another part of this Vulcan offense that I feel like I never talk about, but I always talk about, is the fast break and how good it is at creating those scoring opportunities. And we're looking at a tie game here now early on in the first.
Vulcans always excel at their outlet passes and trying to find somebody ahead in transition. And you're seeing it early on here. And there's going to be a foul there on Bryson Lucas. A foul on Bryson Lucas as he kind of was just defending the inbound to Say. And that'll take us to our first media timeout.
And I know when we were at IUP last week, that was something we talked about, was them bit of a center battle between Palak and Porterfield, and how you needed to lock Porterfield down because he's not only so dominant in the paint, but it's just how big of a presence he has on that court. And I feel like that's something you're also going to need to watch out for in Matty Orsay. It's just the fact that you're going up against the 7-footer, regardless of skill level. It's that height advantage that can really change the time and grab rebounds in the defensive and offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, talking to the players about that game against IUP, a lot of them stressed how, Porterfield being on the floor kind of made them have to readjust and do different things on offense, and I'm sure it's going to be the same here tonight with Say out there. The big body of Matty Orsay just able to do so much, and like you said, a great defensive presence to have down low. And you have to just hope that they can maybe get him in foul trouble or even just work around it and maybe open up some shots outside.
That was one of the few, or actually one of the many Clarion transfers from last year. I mean, that team only won 2 games, and I know if I'm a player on a team that's only winning 2 games, I mean, I'm 7 foot tall. How many other programs, not in Division II, not in the PSAC, but in all of basketball, will want somebody like that?
Let's get back in here as Antoine Arnett checks into the game for the Vulcans. And Edinboro Fighting Scots will bring out the same 5 they started the game with.
Another small thing that I'm really glad is that the band is here, because I can barely hear you talk now, but they create that energy, and I love that.
It is. It's nice to, like I was saying earlier, we kind of have one of the bigger crowds that we've had all year here tonight, and not maybe not a marquee matchup, but it's just nice to see more and more people flooding into the Convocation Center cheering on the Vulcans.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Penn West matchup, man. Who can't get excited about that?
Pass down low to Ludovich. He's going to put it up kind of out of control. Shot clock violation almost came into play there, but Bryson Lucas grabs the air ball before the buzzer goes off. As Lucas has it on the wing now. Looks for the cutting Slaughter, nothing there. Pass over to Antoine Arnett. Back to Slaughter. He's going to take the corner 3, a little short. And the rebound by Ludovich. Bernie Blunt bringing it up the court for the Fighting Scots. He's going to kick it out to Jack Gallagher, and they're going to set things up. Some substitutions will come in at the next dead ball for the Fighting Scots. Gallagher on the drive, and they're going to call a charge as KJ McClurg in the right place at the right time.
And again, let's just turn the circle back onto KJ McClurg, as we've done so much already. And again, it's just how well he takes those fouls. And, it's not just the offensive side of the ball. I know he's so good at maneuvering himself in the offensive paint, but it's how well he is on the defensive side as well. I think if there was a statistic for how many charges taken within the conference this year alone, KJ's easily in the top 5, maybe even leading.
Donald Whitehead checks in for the Vulcans, and Will Taylor and Easton Fulmer checking in for the Fighting Scots. KJ McClurg on the wing, 4-3, and it's good. He is off to an early start here as he's up to 10 points. And Keith Palak actually snuck on the court as well for the Vulcans. Didn't get to call that one out, but can't miss him with those purple shoes.
Yeah, and also rocking a new haircut, too. I know that's something I always like to talk about is how clean Keith's hair is.
Wow, what a shot there by Bernie Blunt as he was about 3 or 4 feet behind the line, hand in his face, and he still was able to connect and tie this game back up.
I don't know what the whistle was for exactly, but Coach Sankum not happy. I don't know if he's yelling at the ref or he's yelling at Zion right now.
I believe the whistle might have been a delay of game. I believe one of the Fighting Scots kind of patted at the ball after it went through the bucket, but nonetheless, the Vulcans with it now. Zion Collins on the drive. They're off the backboard and the foul.
Beautiful play by Zion Collins, and it's something that he does so well, too. I know we already talked about just the ability to draw fouls, but he's such a good player when he gets inside that paint and just being able to find the open areas with his arms and get the ball up there, whether that be for the shot opportunity or just trying to draw the foul out.
I think that's where kind of Donald Whitehead and DJ Slaughter play such a key role as they allow both Zion Collins and KJ to play off the ball and just create more opportunities for them. And right there we saw it firsthand as he was deep in transition, got the ball, and kind of just got in the right position before Fighting Scots were able to defend it. Blunt with the pass over to Taylor. Taylor up to Say. Say hands it back off to Blunt. He's going to shoot another deep three off the rim and no good. And the rebound by Antoine Arnett. That's a big rebound there.
Yeah, and Antoine Arnett's also going to play such a key factor in this game.
And a big play there. Zion Collins gets the tip in off the miss by McClurg. And a quick start for this Vulcans team.
And as I was just saying, I think Antoine Arnett's also going to play such a big part in this game. He's such a good defensive power forward center type of player who guards the paint. He's so good at it, too.
A deep three here from Easton Fulmer, no good. Back to your point on Antoine Arnett. He's such an efficient player as well. He shoots 68% from the floor on 71 attempts. I mean, I can understand if you're shooting close to 70% with a small sample size, but him putting up 70 shots this year, I mean, that shows a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of them are just clean shots in the paint that, you want your guys to take. And I think Zion now is going to be taken over by the medical staff because I think there's a bit of blood. Don't think there's any on the court, though. So if we're lucky, this is just a quick stoppage.
Arnett just knows his role so well for this Vulcans team and plays it to a T. Never tries to overplay, overscore, or anything like that. Just does what he has to do and does a great job. You've seen his minutes just jump up game by game as the redshirt freshman from Somerdale, New Jersey has really become a key part to this team.
And, I don't even think it's just Antoine. I think it's just Coach Sankum's system as it is. I mean, everybody is such a team player, and I know I've said this with John on the call before. It's just there's no selfish player on this team. They pass the ball around with those open shots, and not one player wants to take those shots.
Drive here by Zion Collins. Kind of loses it, but gets it back. Looking for somebody to pass it to. Finds KJ on the wing. KJ with the pump fake, double pump fake. Puts up the two-point jumper off the rim and no good. Fighting for the rebound down low, and Bernie Blunt's going to come up with it.
Yeah, and playing defense against KJ is also just so hard because he's so good at faking those guys out, too. So it's not like you can really play far off him. You need to make sure that you're on him in case he does try to fake those shots.
Bernie Blunt with the smaller Whitehead on him there. Not too much smaller, but he was able to take advantage, create some contact, and after the media timeout, he will head to the line. 19-14 in favor of the Vulcans. 12 minutes to go here in the first half. We've seen a pretty exciting first 8 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I know definitely going into this game, I would say like last week or even after the IUP game, I mean, I'm not thinking that this is going to be like a, 5-point game, but I'm pleasantly surprised, and it's not even that both teams are playing badly. It's just good basketball between both of them.
Vulcans coming into the game ranked number 14 in all Division II, sitting at 17-2, 11-2 in the conference. And the Fighting Scots coming into play 5-14 overall, 4-9 in the conference. So not necessarily one of those nail-biting matchups, but when you have a playmaker like Bernie Blunt on your team who can score 20 points a game, that can keep you in any game, especially with a defensive presence like Say.
Yeah, and I mean, looking across the rest of the PSAC right now, the only other game that's really, or actually two games of note, is Seton Hill at Gannon. Seton Hill's been on a little bit of a down streak as of recent. They've recently lost that fourth seed to surprisingly Slip, who also plays tonight against Hearst, who's holding the 5 seed right now, I believe. And like I said earlier, it's just that it's not, or I said this at IUP, excuse me. The top 3 are locked. I mean, you're going to have a Gannon, you're going to have an IUP, and you're going to have a Cal top 3. But it's those bottom 3 that things really get interesting. Because, I mean, you want to think Seton Hill's probably going to make it. but they've also been on a bit of a rough stretch. Slip had a bit of a rough stretch to start, but now they've been on fire, beating this nationally ranked Vulcans team. And then the real question is, what about that number 6? Does that go to Edinboro, or is that one going to go to Hearst?
It's definitely a race here in the PSAC West to kind of make their push into the playoffs as we are approaching the second half of conference play. I believe this will be the first matchup between any teams. It's KJ McClurg on the wing. A little bit of a press there by Edinboro off the made free throw. Not sure if that's part of the strategy or if it was just from the free throw line. Zion has it on the wing, gets the screen from Palick. Palick on the roll, and he was wide open, but a great defensive play there by Dante Wilcott to hit it out of bounds.
Yeah, just cutting that one out of the hands of Palick, too. And a charging Keith Palick towards the net's not something you necessarily want to see. So just getting the ball out of bounds and having to force them to restart everything, probably what you want.
McClurg on the wing, gets it over to Palick. Smaller defender on him. He's going to take him down into the paint. Goes up with the right hand or left hand off the backboard and in. And Keith Palick really getting back into what he's used to doing, and it's really nice to see him coming off the injury there.
That's exactly what I want to see too. I'm giddy. I'm giddy because I just love seeing those paint shots from Keith Palick too, and a beautiful defensive play from him too.
One of my favorite players to watch personally on this Vulcans team is he was really the key centerpiece of last year's team. Is the great Kareem hook shot there by Matty Irsay, but I mean Palick last year averaging 18 points a game for this team with Zion being out and KJ McClurg just finding his footsteps, but now just sitting into a better role. And the and one there by Antoine Arnett as he gets the lay-in and the foul. He'll head to the line to try to capitalize.
And again, a beautiful play by Arnett. He just makes the right plays. I mean, I think in the time he's been on the court here so far this year, I don't know if I've necessarily ever seen him just make a boneheaded or just even the wrong play. He just takes everything that he needs or that he sees in front of him. And I think that's something that Coach Sankum definitely saw in him coming into that recruiting class that he had. I believe that would have included the likes of KJ, and I believe that would have included the likes of Donald Whitehead too, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct there. Is able to capitalize on the free throw opportunity. And checked into the game for the Fighting Scots was Ian McNeil, number 23 there in the middle. Another tall body, and just giving Matty Irsay a break. That's right there. They're fighting for the rebound. Donald Whitehead coming up with it. Out of all people on the court, that's not what you would expect. He plays bigger than his size. Zion Collins on the wing. A little bit of a drive, and they're going to call a charge as Easton Fulmer just kind of got in the right position.
A bit of an awkward play there, and I don't know if I've necessarily been really paying attention to the battle of the field goals he made so far here tonight, but Edinboro's just been taking a lot of those shots, and especially as soon as the game started, you notice it was just shot after shot after shot. Now it's slowed down a bit here. Edinboro now shooting 7 for 18 in this first half, while Vulcans shooting 9 for 16.
Jermaine Hall checking back into the game for the Vulcans. And J.J. Eubank making his first appearance, number 8 out there for the Fighting Scots. As Eubank gives it over to Blunt. Blunt on the wing, covered by Whitehead. Asking for the screen, he gets it from McNeil. He's going to take a deep three. That's about 5 feet behind the line, no good. Rebound by Zion Collins. Collins bringing it down. He's going to take it all the way to the basket, looks off the board, just rolls off the front of the rim, and McNeil with the rebound.
And that's just an unlucky break for Zion Collins. Makes the right play, just slows it down mid-air, and just not able to get the bounce he wants.
Eubank pass over to Blunt. Blunt up top to Wilcott. Wilcott to McNeil. McNeil looks down low, but I don't know if he was passing to one of the cheerleaders there or if he just kind of got a little too antsy, but that ball's going to fly out of bounds and be in the possession of the Vulcans.
And just a little bit of a mistake there by the 6'8 senior out of Erie. Solid player in his own right, too, taking on a little bit of those backup minutes, almost in the Antoine Arnett-esque type of role. Himself averaging 3.7 points per game and 3 rebounds as well.
Jermaine Hall at the top. Looking to hand it off, but gets it over to Palick. Palick with the three, and he's going to find it as he's feeling himself a little early here, making his first 2 shot attempts.
Yeah, and again, just makes me so happy to see. He was such an electric and fun player to watch last year. I mean, it's not often you see somebody of his size at this level just doing the things that he does.
It's actually funny because a deep three here by Eubank, and that's going to hit the top of the rim and go out. Vulcans take possession, but what I was getting started saying there was Keith Palick, you don't really realize how tall and how big he is until you're down here on the floor or you're talking to him to his face. And yesterday I got a chance to interview him, and I'll tell you what, I was breaking my neck looking up trying to talk to him, and it's nice to see him get back into form like you said, and I'm sure he's just going to keep improving as the season goes on, and they're going to need it down the stretch.
And the 6'8" height listed does not do him justice. You're absolutely right, because, again, just like standing next to him, there's no way that guy is 6'8". I swear he is up at that Matty Orsay size as Donald Whitehead Jr. went up.
Great job there by Donald Whitehead to create some contact, and he'll make a trip to the line.
I know that's another type of play that I'm worried to see, because Donald Whitehead Jr. is another player on this team and has missed a few games due to injury. He's missed a few important ones too, so it's nice to see him back here and nice to see him make a play like that and just be able to get up and not have to worry about that nagging. I believe it was an ankle injury.
That was a bad play there when he took a three and kind of landed on somebody's foot and kept him out for about 5 or 6 games. And I mean, he is a great player, only a sophomore in this program as well, so he's got plenty of time to kind of add up the accolades and be as productive of a player as he can be as he connects on both free throws there.
Yeah, and a 10-point lead built up by these Vulcans now, and I think it's just come off of the efficient shots they've been taking. And I know that's something that this team does so well, is just taking the easy points. I mean, they don't necessarily try and force things.
And a great pump fake there by Eubank to get McClurg off his feet, and he's going to finish at the rim, cut this lead down to 8.
Yeah, and that's such a smart offensive play, too. The pump fake is something that I don't think players necessarily utilize at this level down in the paint as much, and it's a beautiful play by him.
Great bounce pass there by Palick, and Jermaine Hall just kind of loses it there. Blunt coming back the other way, one-on-one with Palick. He's going to slow it down. Just the height disadvantage kind of puts him in a loss. And a great three there by J.J. Eubank as he has 5 consecutive points for these Fighting Scots.
And 35% three-point shooter, I mean, already a decent number, but why don't you take it back a few more feet?
And the great take there by K.J. McClurg. I'm not even sure how that found the bottom, but absolutely beautiful teardrop lay-in.
And I mean, at this point, I can't even say that I'm surprised at this point. I swear he can just take half-court shots all game, and he's bound to make at least 3 of them.
Eubank once again going to put it up for 2, and he's connecting as he's feeling himself off the bench early with a nice 7 points in about 2 minutes.
Keep feeding the hot hand. If it works, it works.
Once again, Donald Whitehead taking it to the rim. He's going to draw a foul on Bernie Blunt, and that'll take us to our 3rd media timeout here. 30-25 in favor of the Vulcans. It's been a great game so far up to this point, and honestly, I mean, Edinboro playing up toe-to-toe with the California Vulcans, only being down 5 so far. I mean, we just said a minute ago their lead was 10, and now they're able to cut it down, and this team can score with the best of them, and they're showing that tonight.
Yeah, and it's something that the Vulcans have struggled against, is that almost every single game that they've played here at the Combo Center, almost every single game they've played away, there's almost always that one guy on the other team that just gets hot. I mean, I know looking back on it against Wheeling, that was Marcus Johnson. I know when they played on IUP, that was Garvin Clark. It's just always the one guy, and it happened last year too. There's one name I will forever remember, even years after this, Gerald Jarman. That guy, I swear, was taking him from half court and scored 35 points. It's something that this team has struggled against, or struggled with.
Coming out of the media timeout, 7:14 left in this first half. California with the 30-25 lead. Edinboro with 6 fouls to California's 3. So any fouls from Edinboro here on out will send California to the line. So far, just looking at the stats, both teams with 3 3-pointers made in this game. Edinboro being 3 for 8, California 3 for 5. Edinboro shooting 43% overall from the floor. California up to 58% now. Donald Whitehead at the free throw strike makes the first of 2. One of the better free throw shooters on this team. Sitting at 88% on the year, 30 for 34 coming into the game, 3 for 3 tonight.
And I mean, he's so good at just making the right play. It's something I love about him.
I know there was a time earlier this year where it was about 109 minutes without a turnover that he had in a row. That's kind of the stretch over like 3 or 4 games, playing as many minutes as possible. So it's nice to see him back out on the floor following the injury. The great take there by Will Taylor. Another guy coming off the bench, just looking to play aggressive.
And he got enough height on that shot, too, that even the jumping arms of slim and athletic Lucas wasn't able to get it as it bounced off the foot.
Eubank picks it up and gets it up to Blunt. Blunt's got a little bit of room with Palick, the taller defender, on him. He's going to take the 3, deep one, off the back rim and no good. The rebound there by Aaron Hopkins puts it up, no good. And Keith Palick with the rebound. Whitehead bringing it up on the wing, gets it to Palick, trailing along the way. He kind of loses it and falls back, but the Fighting Scots not able to recover as it's going to stay on this end.
Yeah, and that's something that I love to see from this Vulcans team is after they grab those defensive rebounds, immediately those eyes are on the bottom of on the back of the court. They're looking to score immediately. They can't find that open take. It's just into a nice, slow offense that can just beat these teams so easily.
Talked about earlier, they're so good in transition, but if they slow it down, they can also excel, as we kind of saw during the IUP game. Whitehead, deep 3 off the back rim, no good. A great offensive rebound, as KJ McClurg was the only one there with 3 defenders around him and still came up with it. He'll go to line 4-2 as that puts them in the bonus.
And I don't know how he only averages 6 rebounds a game. He's so good at getting himself up there, and only 6'3" as well. And I mean, normally he's matched up against what you would consider the 3s and the 4s of teams, which usually are hitting at around 6'5", sometimes 6'6". So it's impressive how well he's able to put himself up there and put himself in contention for these rebounds.
Jermaine Hall and Antoine Arnett checking into the game for Palick and Zion Collins. Second free throw there by KJ McClurg is good. 34-27 in favor of the Vulcans. 6 minutes to go here in this first half. McClurg already up to 14 points on the night. Blunt with the pass over to Ludovich. Over to Eubank, and he'll get it to Will Taylor. Taylor with the pass to Hopkins. Hopkins on the drive. Kind of a little bit of a push. No call, and Bryson Lucas pulls in the rebound. Donald Whitehead bringing it up for the Vulcans. Gets the screen from Lucas. Gets it to Jermaine Hall. Jermaine Hall going to take his first 3-point attempt of the night. No good. In and out.
Something I always love to see from the Vulcans is that 3-point shot, because it's not something they take very often. They usually only take that when it's clean and easy for them to get.
A little bit of a fadeaway there for Will Taylor. It's no good as the Vulcans bring it back the other way. Donald Whitehead, almost a lob there to Bryson Lucas. That would have been a highlight play. Lucas gets it out to Hall. Hall hands it off to Whitehead. And they're going to call a charge. Kind of an interesting call there. I think it was almost like he lost his footing and just made a slight contact, but nonetheless, Fighting Scots going to bring it back the other way.
I'm still a bit lost there, and I think Coach Sankum is too. I don't know if he necessarily agrees with that one. And I think this is important possession coming up here for the Scots, is that you just need to score here. It's been a little bit since they've been on them or on the board.
Hopkins with the pass to Blunt. Blunt with the 3, and they're going to say his foot was on the line. So 2-pointer there from Bernie Blunt, and that's going to get him up to 12 points on the night.
And like I said, that's just an important possession for them. You put this back down to a 5-point game, and we're already seeing the matchup here. It's just that these two scorers have hot hands already.
Eubank once again on the ground as he fell off the KJ coming off the screen. 3-pointer no good, and Ludovich bringing back the other way. Eubank at the top gets it to Blunt. Blunt covered by Arnett. Gets it to Hopkins. Hopkins playing the high post. Over to Blunt. He's going to set a screen. Blunt doesn't want it. Blunt goes right side. No good. And the rebound there by Taylor. And Taylor puts it up and in. A great athletic play.
And I'm surprised. I believe that would have been KJ under that. I'm surprised he didn't get called for a foul, because he got himself a little too much contact there. But a beautiful play. A nice putback by the Fighting Scots of the University of Edinboro.
Bryson Lucas, a great drive and finish as he gets all the way up at the rim. And I mean, at that point, when you're just able to drop it in, I don't see how, you don't come up with the 2 points there.
And he's such a good player, too. So athletic. A sophomore out of West Virginia. And it's glad to see him back on the court, too. Didn't get to see his high ceiling and nice skill level here last year.
Hopkins with the pass to Blunt. Blunt getting the screen from Hopkins. He'll take it. He tries to find him on the roll, but a little bit too far out in front as Antoine Arnett comes up with the steal.
And I don't even know if Antoine Arnett was expecting that one.
And what a slam there by Bryson Lucas. As he's just running back in transition, he gets found, and he finishes with authority. That'll take us to a timeout. 3 minutes and 36 seconds left. California with a 7-point lead.
And I mean, I'm always glad to be sent to Jam City here. And, you know, it's a little bit of a throwback to our good friend Jonathan Sakaguchi. Haven't gotten to see him at all this year, but what an impressive offensive showcase it's been here tonight. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily expected Edinboro to come out here guns blazing against this Vulcan defense, but they've done such a good job moving that ball around and creating opportunities outside of the arc.
If Edinboro wants any chance in this game, one thing they will definitely have to do is slow down the Vulcans' transition, as that's really where they thrive, as they're able to kind of run the floor. They have so many athletic guys that can finish at the rim with authority or with some finesse. And right there, Bryson Lucas doing the best of his abilities to show that. Bryson Lucas averaging 11 points per game and 6 rebounds, shooting 57% on the year. It's probably around his 150th shot. He came into the game with 148, and it's one thing I said about Arnett, and I'm going to say it about Lucas too. When you're able to get that field goal percentage in the high 50s or even the 60s, and you have a high sample size like they do, it's very impressive, and it shows that they just take the most efficient shot and they roll with it.
And I know he was just a player that I could say definitely calling most of the games last year was just sorely missed, because really the only guy you can rely on for any sort of defense within the paint was Keith Palak. And I mean, let's be honest here, Keith Palak isn't 240 and like 7 foot tall. He's not going to be able to guard, you know, the Porterfields. He wasn't able to guard the John Paul Kromkas. They're guys that are just too big and, well, sometimes a little too skilled. So it's nice to have the defensive presence of Lucas back on the court.
Long pass over to Eubank. Eubank over to Ludovic. Ludovic looking for Say in the middle. Tall body guarded by KJ McClurg. Eubank with it. They get the switch that they wanted, but Eubank's going to take the 3 instead. A little bit of a miscue on the rebound. And they're going to call it coming back the other way. And I think this referee is going to change the call, as it did seem to go off of Arnett's foot. And the Fighting Scots will retain possession.
Yeah, I was a bit confused there for a second. I mean, we're down on the court side now, so, you know, we're easily able to see plays like that. And I'm like, the ball just, like, clearly slides off of Arnett's foot. A bit confusing there, but glad to see it get reconciled.
Blunt with it, guarded by Whitehead. Gets it to Eubank coming off the screen. Eubank really just trying to get going, shooting the ball a lot. Doesn't even find the rim there, and the Balkans coming back the other way. A little bit of a 4-on-3. Whitehead going to pull up a mid-range 2, and that's just one of the efficient shots you were talking about earlier that he's so good at.
And it's that nice pull-up jumper that I know I saw a little bit last year that started to develop, but now he's just started to do it so well this year in his sophomore season. He's just so good at that in-transition offensive shot.
And there were 3 Vulcans and 1 Fighting Scot there, and the Vulcans are going to get a foul call. It's not necessarily what you want to see if you're Danny Sankum, but he's going to stay on this end as Zion Collins checks into the game for Antoine Arnett. Just over 2 minutes to go here in this first half. California up to a 9-point lead currently. Passing to Say. He's going to throw it up top to Blunt. Blunt guarded by Zion Collins. Blunt's range, as we kind of noticed here early on, is limitless, so got to make sure you're staying with him the whole time. The pass over to Ludovic, and the corner 3 is good.
And nobody on the 6'5 junior out of Sharpsville, Virginia. 38% on the year. That is now 9 for 22. Done such a good job so far, this entire Edinboro Fighting Scots team, just creating the space that they needed for those type of shots, and it's the reason why this game is so close as it is.
Pass over to Collins. Collins on the wing. He's going to drive. Post up a little bit, gets it to Lucas. Lucas pump fakes, pivots on the drive. The finish no good as it rolls off the front rim. But he gets it back on a great play off defensively. The pull up here by Jermaine Hall, and he finds it.
Yeah, just a poor sequence there by the Fighting Scots just to lose that ball. And impressive on the Balkans just to be able to pick that back up. And, you know, Jermaine's shot so clean.
Little Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hook shot there from Ludovic, and nothing but net as they answer the 2-point jumper. Zion Collins with another 2. No good, and Say with the rebound.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Zion Collins too, you need to make that shot. Say is not contesting that, and that's just a nice mid-range jumper that you're working on in practice. It's something you need to make here, especially the fact this game is as close as it is.
Say on the roll, no good as it goes off the back rim. The rebound by Taylor, and he's going to get fouled. And he'll go to the line, as that is the 6th foul on the Vulcans this quarter. So any more fouls throughout the rest of the quarter will send the Fighting Scots to the line.
And I don't know if you noticed there, but that was Donald Whitehead Jr. initially on Matty Orsay. Very impressive there. And I know I definitely have my opinions on Donald Whitehead Jr. on the defensive side of the ball. If you go to around the 2-minute mark at the IUP game, you'll hear it. You'll definitely hear it. But he's so impressive for his size at just maneuvering his body on the defensive side of the ball and positioning himself. And, he's usually able to get himself on the taller guys and make it harder for them to get those shots up.
Second free throw here from Taylor is good. Keith Palak just checked into the game for Bryson Lucas. It's a 5-point lead here for the Vulcans. A minute left to play in the first quarter, or first half. My apologies. Zion Collins a step back 2. It's way short, and the rebound by Palak. Pass out to Collins. He has an open 3, doesn't take it. Gets it out to Whitehead. Whitehead the deep 3, and it's nothing but net. As Donald Whitehead starting to feel himself early, as he is up to 9 points.
And that's such a great part of the Dons game, is just how much of a microwave scorer he is. You put him on for 30 seconds, boom, 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 gets those points and that you need. And it's nice to see him taking a little bit of the hit of the cigar and putting more of the fire and the smoke under Edinboro's how do I say this, derriere.
Passing to Say in the middle. Palak all over him. Say looking for something, goes to the post hook, and he does find it, even after the good defense from Palak.
Yeah, and I think Palak was upset with himself there. He was playing such a great defensive game against Say so far, and it's just a nice little shot. He uses the size to his advantage, and it's going to cut us down to a 6-point game. I did the math on that, right?
You did. That is correct on the math.
It's not my strong suit.
Keith Palak, one of the players on this team that really is, I don't want to say so hard on himself, but he holds himself to a high standard. Always frustrating when, he's playing as hard as defense as he is, and Say's still able to find it there, and takes the blame right away, tells coach that's on me, and 14 seconds left now. I'm sure Danny Sankum over there in the huddle trying to draw something up for his team to end the half all with a bang.
If I'm looking for anything here, I assume it's probably going to be something going to either KJ McClurg on the outside, or maybe they're going to try and feed Jermaine Hall Jr. I know he's been a little quiet here tonight, but I'm excited to see what Coach Sankum's able to draw up here for these last few seconds.
Whitehead bringing it up. Clock down to 10. So they're going to get going as soon as they can. Palak coming up for the screen. Whitehead takes it to the right side. Palak wide open at the three-point line. He's going to take it, and he's going to make it. As Keith Palak makes up for his defensive struggles as he increases this lead to 9. And we're going into halftime with California at 48, Edinboro at 39. And stay tuned for the second half here on PSAC Network and CUTV Sports 1.
Regardless of the season, follow all the action with CUTV Sports. From the gridiron to the hardwood, the pitch and the diamond, CUTV Sports has you covered with almost 100 live games a year. With multiple camera angles, graphics, announcers, and replays for 37 seasons, CUTV Sports is your home for Vulcan athletics. Get out of the huddle and into the action with CUTV Sports.
Back to the Convocation Center for this matchup between the Edinboro Fighting Scots and the California Vulcans. Vulcans with the 48-39 lead as they kind of got started early on and slowed down towards the end of that first half. But, I mean, quite the interesting first half, I would say. What about you, Nate?
I mean, definitely. I think coming out of the gates, we expected the Vulcan offense to be a bit on fire here. A little bit of a lackluster performance against the Crimson Hawks of Indiana University of Pennsylvania. But I think the surprise story of this matchup so far has just been how well Edinboro has been able to keep up with the Vulcans on the offensive side of the ball. Even defensively, they've been pretty well at limiting the Vulcans when the play slows down, but it's just the fact that the Vulcans' transition and their fast pace of play has just been so, like, how do I word this? It's so good. So good.
It's a pretty good word to use.
Such a complex word for an intelligent individual such as myself to use.
And at no surprise, leading scorers for both squads are Blunt and McClurg, the two leading scorers in the PSAC. McClurg with 14 and Blunt with 12. And honestly, my surprise of the first half for Edinboro was definitely JJ Eubank for the Edinboro Fighting Scots, as he kind of got started pretty early and with no remorse, as he's 3 for 6 from the floor so far, 7 points, but his 3 buckets all very impressive. And I think on the other side, Keith Palak was able to get going for California, as he kind of finished with 8 points there, 3 for 3 from the floor, and 2 for 2 from beyond the arc. So some impressive numbers from both sides, and it's going to be interesting to see how this second half takes into play.
And Eubank just was able to get those 3 straight offensive possessions with those scores. And I think that's also what's so important, is just consistency. And that if you're able to keep just threading the needle and able to put those points up on the board, you're going to be able to stay toe-to-toe with this Vulcan team. And, I mean, they're 14th in the country for a reason. Previously, I believe they got as high as, I believe, number 9 or number 7. So, I mean, it's a tough team to go up against early on, or, well, around the middle of the season now.
And this is a 14th ranked team that was able to beat, Gannon, the 9th ranked team. So nonetheless, they have the potential to be in the top 10. I think just their slip against Slippery Rock kind of, set them back a pace. But it was also kind of a learning moment for them to not be able to fall victim to trap games. And that's what they're trying to do here tonight with the 9-point lead coming into the second half.
Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, I just don't think that the greatest of teams, or even really the best winners, can go undefeated. I mean, at some point you have to have a learning moment and just get humbled. And I think the Vulcans just saw that earlier. Now, I guess that would have been a little earlier in the year here. Slip was a team that had already been struggling a little early on within the season. And, they got some decent wins here and there. But, it was just that loss they needed. And, I mean, it helped both programs. The Vulcans have been able to come back on a nice streak here. And now Slip has put themselves into the winning column a lot recently, moving themselves up to, I believe, 4th in the West.
Zion Collins with 3, no good. And the rebound by Say. I remember back when we traveled to Slippery Rock for that game, I was talking to Director Gary Smith, and I said, this seems like it's going to be a learning point for them. Just realize that they need to be on their toes at all times, and that's what they've been so far to this point. As Blunt kind of, the push-off on Zion, gets it to Say, fakes the handoff to Blunt. Wilcott with it now. Has a little bit of space, but hasn't done anything with it yet. Gets it to Say. Say, the smaller defender of Hall on him. The hook shot, no good. Rebound by Wilcott.
And I think that's an important part here, is the fact that they're able to get these offensive rebounds. It's something that the Vulcans have struggled with for not just this year, but last year too.
Bryson Lucas picks up the rebound there for the Vulcans. Gets it to Zion. Zion with the pump fake pass to Jermaine Hall. Jermaine Hall with the fadeaway 2 off the backboard and in.
A bit of a nervous little bouncing at first, but that's the type of shot that Jermaine wants to keep on making. It's just that easy fadeaway jumper that he's so good at making. And it puts them back on the point counter here in the early stages of the second.
Drive here by Wilcott. He's going to get it to Say. Say at the top of the key. He's going to take the jumper from the free throw line off the backboard and rim, no good. The pass up to Bryson Lucas. The pass to DJ Slaughter, back to Lucas as he's going to finish at the rim, kind of get his body up above Ludovic and get the 2 points, as now the lead's up to 13, California's biggest lead of the night.
And it's just a surprising offensive sequence there. I don't think you're really expecting Lucas to pass it off. He's more the type to just go in there and try and slither it in himself. But again, it goes to the unselfishness of this team.
Oh my goodness, as Bryson Lucas sends it away for the Vulcans. And Blunt with a great drive, but nonetheless, Bryson Lucas says, not in my house.
Yeah, and again, it's just this momentum builder that I think the Vulcans needed here to finally push themselves over the top. It's something that's happened a lot this year, is just how these games are somewhat evenly tied, and then it just gets to that one moment and that one highlight on the reel that just starts to shift that momentum, and you're hoping to see that now if you're part of the Vulcan Nation.
Bryson Lucas has been on the front cover of a lot of the highlights for this team, as he's able to finish at the rim with authority. He's able to play defense with authority, as we've seen there, and they might have to check the air in that ball after how hard he blocked that.
I'm surprised. Actually, no, what I really wanted was for our cameraman JJ just get nailed in the head, because he is my roommate, so it would have been funny to just see him with a comically large ice bag on it over his eye.
I'm sure he got a great replay of that there, as that was directly in front of him, and just such an exciting play. Zion Collins with it. He gets it to Hall at the top. The handoff to Slaughter. Slaughter with Blunt on him. He's going to drive to the left side. He looks for it up and under, off the rim, no good. And the rebound by Ludovich.
Not able to find the shot, but it's just very intelligent. He knows that he's going to be able to beat him on the left side, just takes it. It's such a smart play from Slaughter. Not able to finish the reverse layup, though. I mean, you can't really blame him. That's a hard shot to take.
Pass down low to Say. Say kind of loses his footing, but they're going to say it was a push on Lucas. Personally, I think he just kind of slipped a little bit, but any kind of contact on a slip like that, and they're going to call it. And as my man Braxton would say, it really is based off of the ref. As Jack Gallagher going to check out of the game here for J.J. Eubank, the player who kind of got going early in that first half off the bench for the Fighting Scots. Blunt with it now on the wing, back to Eubank. He looks for the shot, doesn't take it. Sets it back up, gets it out to Blunt. You can tell they're guarding Blunt as far out as like 3 feet away from the line, because they know what he's capable of. And they're going to call another foul there. And it's going to be on the floor, and it's going to be passed in from the side.
And Coach Sangham yelling a bit there at DJ Slaughter. He knows that he was a little too handsy, and I think opposed to what we saw from the last game at IUP, DJ Slaughter mostly just played a few early minutes in the first, and then mostly just disappeared, went back on the bench for the hot hand of Donald Whitehead Jr., and it's nice to see DJ back out on the court.
Pass inside to Say. A great defensive play by Jermaine Hall, though, to take it away. And the Vulcans coming back the other way with it. The fast break. He's not even going to pass it up, and he gets it down low to Zion after getting under the basket for the 2-point bucket.
And that's a smart play, too. I know Jermaine definitely probably would want that highlight dunk over the guy, but he's just going to be smart about it. Pass it off to the open man. Go up for the easy 2 points.
Jermaine picking up his assists as of late, as he's really just shown that he can also facilitate it. Great offensive rebound and the putback there by Say. And there's going to be a timeout called by Edinboro there after the bucket. Want to get back on track after they were down 15, now down 13. And they're hoping to cut back into this lead. California with the 54-41 lead. 16 and a half minutes left in this game. And, man, we're seeing a little bit of a more competitive, spirited game than maybe one might have thought. Looking at the 2 records of these teams coming into the game, with Edinboro only 5 wins on the year, California was 17. I mean, anybody would have thought that it could have been a blowout in favor of the Vulcans. And they're trying to continue that and maybe bring that to light, as this is one of their bigger leads of the game. If for any reason anybody listening did happen to miss any of the guys or women's games within the past week, make sure to check out the Cal Times that drops this Friday at noon, as we have coverage from me, Andrew White, sports editor for the Cal Times, and also Braxton Turner. We covering the girls' games, and you can also visit calvulcans.com to kind of just get a feel for any stats or any kind of miscues that you might not have caught up with, as both Vulcans teams trying to make a run here towards the end of the season, leading up into the PSAC playoffs. Coming out of the timeout here. 5 on the floor for the Fighting Scots. Wilcott, Ledovich, Bernie Blunt, Say, and Eubank. And then the 5 on the floor for the Vulcans is Bryson, KJ McClurg, Jermaine Hall, Zion Collins, and DJ Slaughter. They break the press pretty easily there, setting things up with just over 20 on the shot clock. Slaughter with it at the top of the key. He's going to get it to Lucas. Lucas with the handoff to KJ McClurg. McClurg got a hot start in that first half, and he's looking to continue it. Right there off the backboard and rim, no good. Created some contact, but no call by the ref. Wilcott bringing it up. He gets it over to Blunt. Blunt almost punt fakes from about 8 feet behind the line, but gives it up to Eubank. Eubank, the nice step back three off the front rim and no good. The rebound there by Ludovic. Ludovic still looking to get going. He's going to take the mid-range jumper. He's going to connect as he kind of hesitated at first, but followed up with a nice bucket there. He's up to 7 points on the night. Zion Collins with the pass to Bryson Lucas. Lucas with the pass over to Hall. Hall back to Collins. Collins with Ludovic on him. Gives it to Hall. He has the smaller Wilcott on him, looking to take advantage as he's posting him up. The little fadeaway jumper off the back rim and no good. Ludovic with the rebound. Ludovic double teamed right now though by Zion and Bryson Lucas, doing a great job of not fouling, but Bernie Blunt comes back for the ball and the Fighting Scots coming back the other way with numbers. 3-pointer there by Eubank, no good. Another rebound by Ludovic as he seems to be fighting a little bit harder. To Bernie Blunt, the three, no good. KJ McClure comes down with the rebound and the foul on Ludovic as he kind of just makes a little bit of contact with the fallen KJ. And that's going to take us to our first media timeout of this second half. California with the 54-43 lead against the Fighting Scots, and so far we've seen a lot of action in this game, and it's been exciting on both ends. Still the leading scorer for the Vulcans is KJ McClure as he's 5 for 9 from the floor with 14 points. And then on the side of Edinboro, Bernie Blunt with 12 points and Say with 10 points on 5 of 9 shooting. Bernie Blunt struggling a little bit from the field as he's only 4 for 15 to this point. The junior from Morgantown, PA, shooting 34% on the year, and for being the number 2 overall scorer in the PSAC, 34% is nowhere near, KJ McClurg's 55%. But even though Bernie Blunt might not connect on a high percentage of his shots, he still makes a huge difference in the games for the Fighting Scots throughout. As Jack Gallagher heads over to the scorer's table, he's going to check into the game for the Fighting Scots. And all in all, just a back and forth game here. California's had the lead for the majority of the game as they've been able to kind of stay on top and, play their game. But Edinboro's done a great job of kind of standing toe-to-toe with them and doing the best they can to stay in it. Jack Gallagher, Bernie Blunt, Say, Ludovic, and Eubank on the floor for the Fighting Scots. KJ McClure, Donald Whitehead, Zion Collins, Jermaine Hall, and Keith Palak on the floor for the Vulcans. A little bit of a man-to-man press here, something that the Vulcans are not, have seen a lot of this year as they break it quite easily. Gets it to Zion. Zion gets it to Jermaine. Jermaine, the beautiful finish. And I think that's just the beautiful part about this team. They have so many guys that are so athletic. They can all make plays. They can all finish at the rim. And that's exactly what we saw there, is the unselfish play of Zion Collins, giving it up last minute. Jermaine Hall finishing for the Vulcans. Eubank with it now. Gives it up top. Now Ludovic with it. Ludovic, my apologies. To Bernie Blunt. And he passed it to Gallagher. Gallagher to Say. Say with Keith Palak on him. Keith Palak has held his own down low right there. Another great defensive play right on cue. As Zion Collins coming back the other way. The stutter step puts it up. Fights for the rebound. No good on his end. Eubank gets it and gets it to Ludovic. Bernie Blunt driving the left side. Can't find anybody open. Runs all the way around. Gets to Ludovic. Ludovic's taking a deep three. Might have been beyond his range as Say kind of gets the rebound with the smaller McClurg on him and finishes it. Just under 14 to play here. California still with an 11-point lead. Neither teams with many fouls this quarter, this half, as California only with 2 and Edinboro with 1. Zion Collins posting up. The smaller Gallagher puts up the fadeaway shot. Was looking for a foul, didn't get anything. Right there, he tips it out. And what a great play by Zion, but a great kind of recovery there by Jack Gallagher as he went from losing the ball, complaining about losing the ball, to picking it up and finishing for 2. Donald Whitehead now with the pass to Collins. Collins looking around. He gets it to Palak. Palak going to take the deep 2-point jumper, and he connects as he stays perfect from the floor to this point. 4 for 4 and 11 points. I'm sorry, 10 points, but nonetheless, 4 for 4 from the floor, 2 for 2 from 3. Say at the top. Gets it to Blunt. Blunt to Eubank. Eubank down low to Say. Palick on him. He's playing some great defense tonight and continues to do so. But a late whistle there, as I believe that will go on Jermaine Hall. Must have got him from behind as Say heads to the line, seems like. 4-2 here. Madier Say, the 7-foot junior from Dakar, Senegal, averaging 8.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, and a block. 60% free throw shooter on the year, connecting on 24 of his 40 attempts. First one, no good. Checking out of the game is Ludovic. Checking into the game is Will Taylor for the Fighting Scots. Danny Sankum taking a rare seat. You don't see him sitting down very often when action is going on. He's a very enthusiastic and energetic coach. The second free throw from Say there, good. Cuts the lead down to 10. 12 minutes and 45 seconds left to go in regulation. Donald Whitehead with the handoff to KJ McClurg, and the charge on Eubank as he just kind of plows over Donald Whitehead for trying to keep up with McClurg. And I mean, when you're guarding the top scorer in all of the PSAC, I can't blame him for wanting to stay at his hip. McClurg passing it in here, gets it to Whitehead, and the shot clock's at 20. He's going to drive, a great drive there by Donald Whitehead, can't finish. McClurg with the rebound, goes to tip it back in and gets fouled as he's doing so. So he will head to the line for two. We kind of touched base on it earlier. McClurg and Blunt, not only the top scorers in the PSAC, but two of the top free throw shooters. McClurg shooting 160 free throws on the year, making 133 of them. As he connects on the first one there. And as my man Nate said earlier, Bernie Blunt, 112 for 124 coming into the game, 90%. I mean, that's just as impressive as it's going to get. Checked into the game there was Easton Fulmer for the Fighting Scots as McClurg connects on both free throws, and the lead is back up to 12 with just over 12 to play. Fulmer with it, gets it over to Blunt. Blunt with the handoff to Gallagher. Gallagher to Say. Say guarded by Palick. He's done a wonderful job all night defensively. Back to Gallagher. He looks for the backdoor pass to Eubank, or I'm sorry, to Wilcott. Didn't get it, but Wilcott stays active underneath there and gets it back from Gallagher for two. Pass to the corner. McClurg going to take the three. He's going to hit, and he's going to get fouled as he's going to have a chance to capitalize on the 4-point play here.
And shout out to our poor buddy JJ. I mean, I just got back here. I'm plugging all my camera stuff in, and he actually gets him fully run over, not even rammed. I think everything is okay for him.
I actually missed that, so my apologies to JJ as he holds up the number 10 sign for us there, rating his experience. KJ McClurg connects. He is up to 21 points on the night. California with a 64-50 lead here with just over 12 minutes to play. Blunt with the pass to Say up top. Say over to Fulmer. Fulmer over to Gallagher. Gallagher's got a little bit of room, but it might just be slightly out of his range. Gets it back up to Fulmer, back up to Blunt, and you know his range is limitless. He's going to take it from deep off the front rim and no good. The great rebound there by Gallagher, but he's not going to be able to finish, and KJ McClurg with the rebound.
Yeah, I just don't think he was ready for that to come straight back to him.
Keith Palick with his first miss of the night as he's not able to connect from three, and Fulmer with the rebound. Fulmer going to hand it off to Blunt. Blunt really struggling tonight. He's only 4 for 16 from the field. Fulmer with his first shot attempt, and it's good as he connects from two. And I believe that was his first bucket of the night, and it was. Donald Whitehead with the cross, the three, and the finish. What a highlight play for the sophomore.
And I cannot say I'm surprised. Donald Whitehead Jr., as we all know him here at CUTV, the Don, is such a clean ball handler, too. It's not even just a clean shot. It's not even his impressive defensive abilities or his size. It's just how good he is all around. And I can't say I'm all too shocked to see him make that play as KJ hits the ground hard.
And once again, KJ able to take a charge. And I mean, you touched base on it earlier. There's nobody that puts his body on the line in all of the PSAC like KJ McClurg does. Is once again drawing a game-changing charge. Their biggest lead of the night at 15.
And I know something me and John always say when we're on the headset is he has to be taking some sort of like MMA training or something, because there's no way that KJ McClure can take that many hits, get right back up and just go, oh, okay, I guess I'm just going to score another like 5 points like it's nothing.
And you look at guards a lot of the time, and you don't think much of their stature or their build, but being able to kind of touch base with him yesterday for an interview, and he's a bigger man than you would think. 6'3" doesn't really do it justice, especially when he's jumping out of his shoes a lot of the time. And I mean, I guess that just all plays a part into why he's able to take those hits and recover from them, and with how much kind of contact he's able to create on finishing at the rim as well. He's used to it, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's just the way he's able to sprawl himself out when he's going for those offensive takes, and how good he is at just, putting his body out enough, outstretching his arms to where, even though it is a bit sketchy as to like, hey, how is his left arm on a one-handed layup really interfering with it, it's still enough contact that, by rule, it would be drawn a foul.
I mean, that 4-point play was just absolutely electric by McClure, because he was able to connect from the corner and get his point total up to 20. And, I mean, nothing he's not used to. As he, on the night, like I said, with 20 points, 6 for 10 from the floor, 5 for 5 from the free throw line, and 6 rebounds. Doing it all for the Vulcans here tonight. Very humble guy, KJ is. It was a pleasure to talk to him the other day, and I mean, he just talked about how, he's not really worried about the accolades, as I said earlier, and he's more worried about the fact that this team is 17-2, and they're really just hoping to potentially host a PSAC tournament game, or, a couple. And ideally, if they keep this up, they're going to do that. It's the great find from Arnett to Keith Palak, who's cutting in the middle, and his point total's up to 12 on the night.
That's nice. It's going to be 3 Vulcans on the court now with double-digit points. KJ up to 20. It's going to be Keith up to 12, and that is also going to be, I believe, Donald Whitehead Jr. now up to 12 as well.
Scoring always so spread out on this Vulcans team, is Blunt unable to connect from 3. His scoring woes continue. He's 2 for 9 from beyond the arc. Keith Palak, again, a beautiful take off the board, and we're starting to see the Keith Palak from last year.
Yeah, and I'm so excited, too, because, again, it was just so much fun to watch him last year, and just how explosive somebody of his size and his stature could be, because, I mean, realistically thinking, Keith Palak in most standards of play probably is on that 5, even for how thin he is, but he's just so good at being able to play as a guard, and a nice play by Antoine Arnett.
Great block there from Arnett as he's able to kind of extend his arms and just get a hand on it. Palak with a 3, and that was a bit of a heat check if I've ever seen one, but unable to connect.
I mean, that's the guy I want taking my heat check. I know he did that a lot in his time here, along with Phil Alston 2 years ago, and even last year when he became the main hand on this team.
Defensively, doing a great job on Say, and I can't say enough how excited I am for Keith Palak. I know we're talking about him a lot, but he did a lot in that IUP game on Monday to able to kind of contain Porterfield. A great move there by Zion Collins as he spins and wins his way to the bucket, and they are up by 21 now, by far their biggest lead of the game.
And again, I think this all goes back to that Bryson Lucas block and how much momentum it was able to create and how much energy it was also able to draw out of this crowd, because that's not something we're able to talk about a lot here at the Convo Center, because it's so big we're not usually able to draw enough of a crowd to make a lot of noise, but with the amount of people here tonight, it's so impressive.
Wow, what a find there by Eubank as he goes behind the head to Blunt, who somehow finishes off the backboard, and I mean, that might have been the assist of the night.
I don't know how you can physically even make that shot. Like, he was shooting with his wrist behind his neck. Like, I don't even think he knew where he was shooting.
That's going to be an illegal screen on Palak as Blunt was trying to fight his way through. It's going to be the 4th foul of the half for the Vulcans. And substitutions coming in as Jermaine Hall checks in for the Vulcans. Easton Fulmer, Dante Wilcott, and Will Taylor checking in for the Fighting Scots. And also, actually, Ian McNeil. So 4 out of the 5 players on the floor coming in for the Fighting Scots as they leave Bernie Blunt out there playing with a new group. He has it on the wing now, guarded by Arnett. The screen from McNeil. He's going to drive, go to the basket, and he's going to get fouled. So he goes to the line, and you can pretty much mark those 2 points up. As we talked about earlier, 90% free throw shooter on the year. Hasn't really been able to get to the line too much tonight as he's only 2 for 2 from the strike. But I'm sure he'll make it 4 for 4 here.
I don't know if you noticed this too, but JJ almost immediately as they went towards him, just gone. He was not taking that risk again. And he's also now standing. He is not taking the risk of sitting down.
I'll tell you what, I worked that camera 3 for the Gannon game here at the Convocation Center, and with how much fast break points there were there, I was not looking forward to it, as your life is in danger.
You're a man far braver than I.
It's McClurg with it on the wing now. The pass to Palick, smaller defender on him. He finds Jermaine Hall, the bucket and the foul, as Jermaine Hall just overpowering his defender and able to finish with the contact.
Yeah, and that's an underrated aspect of his game. It's just how strong Jermaine Hall Jr. is. Now he's able to usually beat his man, not by the fact that he's as tall as he is, but as strong as he is for the position that he's in.
California beginning to pull away in this game, as every time the Fighting Scots go on or get a basket, really, the Vulcans have an answer for it, as they are up 19, a score of 75-56, going into our second to last media timeout. With a little bit of a performance from the dance team here, as they keep all of our fans here entertained. One of the bigger crowds that we've really been able to accumulate here at the Convocation Center tonight.
Yeah, that's crazy that we're able to talk about a crowd. I don't think, as far as I could tell, I don't even think we got like half of this all of last semester. And I think last year. And I think if anything, the only game we might have gotten this was probably either Edinboro or Gannon.
And I mean, this team is so good, so talented, and so entertaining that, I mean, they could put up an argument for filling up this arena. They should be. And we should have many more students here, many more, fans just from the local area. And I'm sure word's starting to travel around about how they're, only lost 2 of their 19 games on the season, soon to be 20. And, I mean, I would say that played a role in, this big crowd tonight.
No, I mean, it's just such an entertaining team, too. It's not the fact that they're just good. It's they're playing fun basketball. Like, I mean, even if I weren't, covering these games with CUTV or working for the Times and taking pictures, I probably would still be down here watching these teams because, I mean, it's just so energetic. And, normally that sort of unselfish basketball is just not normally very entertaining. It's a lot of passing, normally, not a lot of those created fun dunks that you would normally see. But I don't know, this team is just so energetic, and they love what they do too, so it makes it so much fun to watch.
Danny Sancom's really got himself a talented squad, and they're doing the best they can to take advantage of it, as the PSAC playoffs are coming up quicker than you would think, and it's going to be exciting to see how far they can make it. Fulmer, a deep 3 off the front rim, no good. A bunch of bodies jumping up for it. Wilcott ends up coming out with it. He takes the drive, no good, and Jermaine Hall with an aggressive rebound. Hall with the 3-on-1. He finds McClurg. McClurg snags it with one hand like he's Antonio Brown, and somehow, some way, finishes at the rim.
And I mean, again, beat a dead horse. So good at this. He's just so able to maneuver the ball around in the post. I mean, moving, standing still. Dude, you could probably put him on stilts and he'd still be able to score 30. It's crazy.
Fulmer on the drive. Great pass to McNeil, but a great defensive play by Hall as he tips it out. A 2-on-2 here. Gets it over to KJ McClurg. The pump fakes. The 3-pointer off the front rim and no good. McNeil with the rebound.
And that's surprising, too, because that's normally the type of play that KJ does make. And, I mean, it's a nice open shot, too. And unfortunate, but, with such a lead that they have here now in the later stages of the second, it's not something you're losing sleep over.
KJ with the great defensive play there as well, as he's able to tip that ball out of bounds. Up 2 inches away from a steal. Bryson Lucas and Zion Collins checking into the game for McClurg and Palick. McClurg getting a rare break, as he is also leading the PSAC, close to leading the PSAC in minutes per game. Donald Whitehead finishing at the rim with the left hand as he increases his point total to 14.
I'm not going to lie. I have seen him dunk in warm-ups, so I am waiting for the day Donald Whitehead Jr. gets on a fast break and we see the Don dunk. It's going to happen one of these days.
Backdoor feed to Fulmer, and he's going to finish at the rim as he gets his second basket of the night. Fighting Scots trying to crawl their way back into this game, but might be too little too late, as 6 minutes to play. They find themselves down 21. And, I mean, with California's firepower, it's going to take a lot of effort to come back into this game. The handoff to Zion. It goes off his foot, but he still recovers. Driving down the left side. He's going to take the step back 2 off the front rim and backboard. No good. The rebound by McNeil, and Jermaine Hall is going to pick up the foul, trying to fight for it.
And such an impressive aspect of tonight's game has been the battle against like Matty Orsay and against Ian McNeil from Antoine Arnett and Keith Palican. How long they've been able to keep going with a 7-footer, and McNeil himself also being 6'8", but also such a good reach on him that might as well also be up there too. They've put such a good defensive battle up against those two and limited them to more of a passive role.
That was about a 1-minute break for KJ McClurg as he checks back in for Hall there. And Bernie Blunt kind of just loses it, and it's going back the other way in favor of the Vulcans.
It's going back into the arms of JJ. I mean, he has a target painted on his chest tonight, I swear. And first that women's game, and now he's just being like hunted down. Cannot catch a break.
Bernie Blunt for the Fighting Scots has yet to take a break as he's played 34 minutes, but he's starting to struggle a little bit on offense as he's 5 for 19 and 2 for 9 from beyond the arc. Bryson Lucas down low looking for it off the backboard, no good. Arnett with the great tip, but I believe they're going to call that as over the back. And it's going to come back the other way. That'll be the 7th foul for the Vulcans. So therefore, we'll make our way to the free throw line where Ian McNeil will have a 1-on-1.
And one of the things I love about Coach Sikkim, even up 21, he's not only still playing his starters in a game that, for the most part, you've won, but it's also the fact that he still argues every single call, like down to the final few seconds. He's so passionate about this game.
I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to my man Nick in the band. He does a great job of just being energetic and as loud as possible, and every free throw that the opposing team takes, you can expect something crazy out of him.
Yeah, a fellow classmate of mine, he's been doing great all night.
Great 3 there by Fulmer as he's starting to get going a little bit, but as we said earlier, might be too little too late. And back to your point on Danny Sankum, while you were gone, he actually was taking a seat on the bench while the game was going on, and I talked to the crowd about how that was one of the first times I'd seen that all year. Such an energetic and emotional coach there. Great block by McNeil on that last play, and it's going to stay on this end as Whitehead passing it in from under the basket.
I'm sure also as a player, too, that's something that you want from your coach, is to just see them always up, standing and energetic. I mean, I know definitely it's tough to play for a coach that's always sitting, doesn't necessarily care.
Donald Whitehead, I can't talk about him enough. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say, Donald Whitehead.
Donald Whitehead Jr.
I mean, he is just such a playmaker. He talked about how, his job is coming off the bench and giving this team a spark and being able to make plays, whether that be for him or his teammates, and he just does such a great job of doing that. And once again, just connecting on a 3-point bucket there. He's up to 17 on the night, 5 for 7 from the floor, and 3 for 4 from beyond the arc. Fulmer, a deep 3, really starting to feel himself. No good there. Bryson Lucas with the rebound, going to give it up before he crosses half court to KJ. Over to Whitehead, another 3, in and out. A great defensive play there by Lucas, but Fulmer comes up with it for the Fighting Scots. The give and go, and it's going to go off his foot, but he saves it. Out to Gallagher. Gallagher mid-range, not sure what to do with it. Gets it to Fulmer, makes sure he's behind the line, takes the 3 and connects again. As Fulmer is just really starting to feel himself in this second half, as I believe he has maybe all of his points besides, I think he made 1 bucket in the first half, but now all of a sudden he's got 2 threes and 4 for 7 from the floor.
And that was such an awkward offensive drive as Bryson gets a foul call.
Bryson trying to put a little English on it from underneath the basket, but nonetheless, he'll go to the line for 2. When we get back from our last media timeout here, California with the 82-64 lead as they continue to dominate the Fighting Scots. And even though the Fighting Scots are trying their best to stay in this game, the Vulcans are making sure to end it here early.
And it's a credit to the defense. And I know earlier in the year, probably their best statistic for this Vulcan team was just how well they were able to stop the 3-point shot. And I believe, if I remember correctly, most teams coming up to the Convocation Center, or even away, shot 21% against these Vulcans from the 3-point line. It's just how well they were able to limit that. And even after a game like Wheeling, where you saw the Cardinals shoot well over 30 3-pointers, I mean, it's still just how well they're able to rebound on the defensive end of the ball, and how well Coach Senko keeps these guys anchored onto the court.
Looking ahead for both of these teams, California traveling to number 9 Gannon on Saturday for, like we said earlier, Battle of the Titans. And then they will travel to Seton Hill a week from today, followed by hosting Slippery Rock in what they hope will be a revenge game after the upset a couple weeks ago on February 10th. And then for the Fighting Scots, they will travel to Clarion on Saturday to take them on. And then next Wednesday, they will actually host Gannon, followed by going to Pitt Johnstown to take them on February 10th.
I'm excited for that slip game. I mean, definitely when we were there away last time. I mean, that was such a, I hate to use the word sloppy, but it was such a sloppy game, not only for the Vulcans, but the Rock too. And, you're hoping to see them come here and put up more of an even fight. My parents will be here for that game, I live far away, so it's rare they get to come out here. So it'll be nice to see if, these Vulcans who've had a nice rolling start to this year and, carried that momentum and see if they could pull out a win. As we have an update here. The Rock of Slippery Rock have beat Hearst now, 49-46. And, out in the east, Westchester beating down Bloomsburg 81-68, as Ship also gets a win, 116-71.
Some good action going on all around the PSAC, both east and west, as teams are getting ready to position themselves for the PSAC playoffs coming up in early March. There's the drive there by Will Taylor, and he'll get fouled. He'll go to the line as well. 6'3" junior from Homewood, PA, averaging 6 points, shooting 65% from the free throw line. Once again, you can hear our man Nick just getting as loud as possible. And I'm telling you, the reason why these teams are missing free throws is because of him.
Well, what was great, too, was if you were watching the women's game, you would hear, if you probably heard this, he was screaming the lyrics to the Fairly Odd Parents theme, which when I was just sitting here editing pictures for the last game, I was like, what is bro doing? But it was working. It was working in that tight game.
Can't give him enough credit. I'm excited to be able to talk to him after this game. Zion Collins on the wing, and they're going to call charges. That was a bit obvious. Kind of lowered the shoulder on the drive there, and Will Taylor just kind of put himself in good positioning to pick up the charge.
And it's going to be a bit of a tough stretch here for Edinboro, because, I mean, Clarion, they're not the same beat-down team that they were last year. I mean, I think the only wins they got were against Penn State Lackawanna or like one of the Penn State schools, and these Vulcans. So it's surprising us Jam City here late in the second.
And that backboard's still moving a bit as JJ might have to get out of the way once again, as the electric slam there by McNeil. Zion Collins hasn't really had too much going on tonight, but nonetheless, I mean, his team has such a big lead that there's nothing to be mad about. Dalman Alexander, his first shot attempt of the night is no good, and the rebound by Gallagher.
And it is nice also to see Dalman Alexander out here on the court. Hasn't gotten much playtime recently, as he's normally just coming in here for most foul-heavy games, but it's nice to see him back on the court and get a few minutes back in.
I mean, as a true freshman, you can't ever expect to, be one of the stars of the show, but right there, a great block. I mean, it's a shame that McNeil can kind of follow up and finish there, but as we're talking about him, he's able to get a two-handed swat, and that's just a highlight play unlike any other. Bernie Blunt able to get the steal, and man, I really thought that was clean, but they're going to call a foul on Whitehead on the swat as Bernie Blunt will head to the line.
I'm not going to lie, I was ready to scream if I saw another Donald Whitehead Jr. block. I mean, I've seen too many of these in the past few days. If I get another one, I might have a heart attack.
So they're going to bring in deeper parts of their bench. Jalen Goins and Caden Hanna checking into the game for the Vulcans, and I think there's an unwritten rule, really. I mean, regardless of how much you're up by, and now it's only 14, but regardless how much you're up by, the other team has to take the team that's losing needs to take their starters out first before you take out your starters. And Danny Sancombe goes by that rule. So, we've seen Edinboro kind of rotate through their guys, keeping Blunt out there for the majority of the game, all the game actually. But other than that, I think now we're finally seeing the deeper parts of the bench as we only have 90 seconds to go here in this contest.
Something I always say is that it's always good to see a Goins, because whenever you see a Goins on the floor, that usually means that these Vulcans are up and in the game. And only that they're winning too. And we get to see the return of Caden Hanna. Last year he was a key part of this team, rebounding and playing defense. But, now he's mostly signed back into the bench role. And, it's still nice to see him back out on the floor.
And a great take there by Zion Collins. He probably heard me over here saying that he wasn't getting going yet. And he said, well, watch this real quick. He finds it off the backboard. The drive here by Blunt. He's still trying to get going and nothing there. Rebound by Goins. Pass up to Zion Collins. A little 2-on-2 here, him and Caden Hanna. The floater, and he finds it off the board. He really must have heard me because he's out there still as a senior. He wants to get as many minutes as he can, and he's taking advantage of it.
It's never wrong to get a caster's curse and have a player go off after it, man. Never bad.
Fulmer. 2-point jumper is good, and I mean, his jump shot has looked pretty pure throughout the whole night. It's just a question as to why he wasn't in the game sooner. As California with a 15-point lead, 30 seconds to go here in this PSAC West matchup. The matchup of Penn West, as you said earlier. 3 schools combining to now becoming one total university, and California trying to prove that they're the best of the 3.
Now that you think of it, I think we have only lost to, I think that's Blunt going to be down. I think his ankle got stepped on.
That's one of the risks you take when you keep your key player in a game that's kind of out of reach, and, you never like to see that, that's for sure. So hopefully he's good. He is finally heading to the bench now, though. Great overall night for him, but honestly not something he was used to, as he kind of struggled shooting from the floor. I believe 5 for 20 on the night. 5 for 21, actually, and not really what he's used to, as the scorer was held in check. Take here, the mid-range jumper is no good. The rebound by McNeil, and that's going to take us to the buzzer. As your final score here in the Convocation Center, 88-73. Thank you all for listening. As this has been Andrew White and Nate Kurtz for the California Vulcans, and stay tuned for this Saturday's electric matchup between the Vulcans and the Gannon Golden Knights. And thank you all for listening. This has been the PSAC Network and CUTV Sports 1.